All right, everybody, good morning. This is Adam Varner. This video here is about a concept I had this morning for a story. And this is how it goes, I was thinking. So, it'll be two kids, two little guys, little boys, dudes, and parents are talking to them or whatever, and they're like, it's later at night, and they're saying, okay, well, we're only going to be gone for a couple hours, be good, blah blah, and the parents leave the house. So then the kids are sitting there for a second, and then they're like, either the line could be something like, you want to play adventurers or something like that, is what I was thinking. But I was, a kid like 30 years ago, so I'm not exactly sure what the lingo might be. So something like that, right? And then I thought to myself, all right, well, this is how it'll go. They'll go like, yeah, hold on a second. So then it'll cut to a guy, one of the guys, and he'll be standing in his room looking at himself in the mirror or something. And he'll be dressed up, like he'll have like a hat on and like a jacket, just like kind of like a normal jacket or something, you know what I mean? Like he'll have some sort of adventure clothes on. And then he'll look at, like, as he's looking at himself in the mirror, the way it'll be like, it'll pan like up his clothes or whatever, you know what I mean? Kind of close-ups of his cool clothes. And then he looks at himself in the mirror, and when he sees himself in the mirror, it's like an adult man, and he's looking at himself like, yeah, I look pretty cool. And I was thinking, like, the way it would be is the guy in the mirror will be in like a big cave kind of looking thing. So then he turns around and his brother's there. And his brother, I was thinking he would have like a wound up piece of rope. And then he'll be like, what are you going to do with that whip there? And then he'll be like, he'll point over at like one of the shelves in the hall or something like that. Be like, I'm going after that. And it'll be like a trophy on one of the shelves. And he'll be like, nice. And then, something like that. I mean, I can write it a little bit more delicately, but this is the way it was playing off in my head. So I was thinking from that point, it could be something like this. The guy will take the rope, at which point it will be a whip, and it'll be kind of like in between two worlds simultaneously. The little kids doing their thing, and then the adults version doing the same things. So the one kid with the rope, he throws it at like a coat hanger kind of thing. I mean, like one of those coat stands, you know what I mean? Something like that, to wind it around one of those notches, those knob things that they put the coats on. And then it'll like cut, to the same kind of shot, but they're inside of a cave, and he goes and he pulls it, and when he does, it like activates a lever, and when he does so, it like opens a doorway kind of thing, or like a kind of like a stairs or something like that will unveil from the walls of the cave. And the line that I had was something like, how did I say it? Like the one guy goes like, clever, something like that. And then the other guy goes like, call it luck. and they it shows them as kids, and what they're doing is like they take like their bunk bed's ladder and they just kind of push it up against the shelves there, and then they climb up and they get the oh, and I was thinking this earlier. I was thinking like when he points to the trophy on the shelf, it says something like I had something like this, like the crystal of Zanzibar Island or something like that, and then he'll like have it written down in his little notebook and a picture of it. And then when they get up to the trophy and he gets it, it'll be like, just like a trophy for like something, who knows, like could be for acting or for bowling or some sort of Olympic or like athletic kind of trophy or something like that. And it'll have like initials, like JNBR Association or something like that. Which means, just something to the story of the fact that they're just people. But so he gets the thing, and they put it in like a bag or something like that, and then they continue on their journey. And then I just want to say, like, the way I was thinking about it was this. Check it out. So what I was thinking was this. Check it out. I was thinking they could do stuff like this, like at one point. And I wasn't sure if this was going to be like a short story or like a full-length concept. Either way is okay. So what I was thinking was there would be some stuff like, I was thinking at one point the guy would he would get stuck in a part of the cave. And check it out. I was thinking the way this could happen was like they're exploring or something, the cave starts to collapse like in an earthquake kind of thing. And I was thinking like the kid he'll fall down just like where he's standing, but then the other kid will be like, oh no, and then like the kid will run downstairs, right? And he'll be hiding under the piano, and he'll call to his brother, and he'll be like, whatever his name is, Jameson or something like that. Like, Jameson, I'm down here, whatever, and so the kid will be like, all right, and he goes downstairs. Meanwhile, it's kind of cutting in between them as an adult, etc. still. So when he falls, it looks like he falls down like a cavern or whatever, but then he really just is running downstairs to under the piano is what I was going to say, because so when he gets down there, he sees the piano lid is open or whatever. He's like, I'm in here. So he's like holding the sustain pedal on the piano. He's like, I can't see you. So he says that, and because the sustain pedal is held, it rings with a reverberation, and it sounds like an echo, kind of like you're in a cavern or something, you know what I mean? And he says, I'll light my torch or something like that, And then he goes like, he pulls his flashlight out of his pocket or whatever, And so then it cuts to them in the cavern, and then you see like way deep down in the cavern, there's like a light going. He's like, I'm down here, blah, blah. And so the idea was this. He starts climbing down like the outside of the railing of the stairs, like he's climbing down there, He climbs down there and he finds him. Hold on. Here. Hi. May I have an apple fritter?
Apple fritter?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes. Hey, thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thought I'd get a little bit of breakfast to do the rest of the story in the car, hopefully. I only had a few different ideas, but I was thinking it was easy to elaborate, this kind of thing. So, okay, so he goes downstairs, he climbs down the outside of the railing. This is the guy with the whip, you know, or with the piece of rope. And so he finds him through the light of his flashlight, the other guy's flashlight, and he yells to him, you know, hello, he's like, I'm in here, you know, I fell into this crevice or whatever. And so the idea was this: he'll be like inside some sofa pillows, and he'll be like, he'll reach his hand out, he's like, look, I'm right here. And he's okay. And he's like, you gotta pull me out, I'm stuck. And so he tries to pull him out, but he's stuck in there. It was the concept. And then he's like, and then the earthquake starts to happen again or whatever. And the cavern, he's like, the other guy's like, the cavern is collapsing. You know, I've got to get you out of here. And he's like, man, you're just going to have to go. You're just going to have to go. Or otherwise we'll both die, you know? Or however it will be written, something like that, you know? And so the kid, it starts to have an earthquake again, right? And then it cuts to the kid, he's under the piano, and he's like, just kind of like banging a little bit, doing one of these on the piano with the sustain, so it's like, and he's like, no, you just gotta go. And he starts going like, ah, and then he like, his hand goes like limp, and the guy's like, no, you know, and it cuts to, it's like cutting in between the kids and the adults still. So when it's the adults, he's like, no, you know, and the kid's like, no. Same kind of shots and stuff like that, you know, or similar, or sometimes contrasting. And so then the guy, I was thinking what would happen was a pillow will fall on the guy's head, or like something will happen, or like something like that. I was thinking like something will happen and the guy will either just wait there, or like he'll get stuck there as well, the other guy. Meaning the cave is collapsing and he's like, well, you know, or something like that. Maybe he'll just be like, you know, he just like slumps to the ground. Maybe it's an easier way to do it. So he slumps to the ground and he just sits there like next to his brother's arm, who's like squished in underneath the thing. And then like, so the guy just kind of like falls asleep for a little bit. So meanwhile, while the guy is asleep, the other guy gets, he wakes the guy up. And it was, in my mind I was thinking like, it would either be that he has a vision, or, and I guess the vision would be good, and I can tell you what the vision is, or I was just going to say like he would just wake him up, but he would be in a sheet, you know what I mean, like he would be in like a sheet as if he's a ghost. And so if the guy has a vision, which I think would be nice, the guy who's alive, obviously, he has a vision of something like his brother and him are alive and they have left the cave or something like that, and then they're also bringing a bunch of old people with them, people of all types, young kids and old people, and they're bringing them all out the cave. He wakes up and So the way it was in my mind, I was like this. All right, so the guy's sitting there on the ground, and he goes up to him, the guy in the sheet. He goes up to him when they're kids, you know what I mean? But then it like cuts or whatever, and then he's like, he says, "Hey," to his brother, you know what I mean? He says, "Hey, Jamie or whatever his name is, something like that." He's like, "Hey, I'm okay." And then the guy's like, "Who's that? Who's in there? Hello? Who's in here?" Something like that, you know what I mean? And he's like, "Hey, Jamie, it's me. Alan or whatever his name is, something like that." And he's like, "Alan?" He looks over to where the crevice is, and it's just a bunch of rocks. Can't tell what's going on because it's crumbled. He says, "You got out?" And he's like, "Got out?" He's like, "No, we're both still here." And he's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Dude, I'm right here." And then he like touches him on the shoulder or something like that. And he's like, "What's that?" He's like, he's like, "What is this?" And he looks real close, and then he's like, "Oh my God, you're a ghost!" And he's like, "A ghost?" He's like, "Oh my God, I'm dead." And he's like, something like that. I'll have to write it in. It's an intense, serious part of the story. But so the way the story goes, I was thinking was like, and I was thinking, okay, in my mind it might be like this, like he barely can hear him. He's like, "You gotta speak up. I don't know where you are," something like that. And then I was thinking like he'll be like, "Put on the talisman of whatever," or something like that. You know what I mean? He's like, "I can see it. I can see it. It's glowing." And then so the guy's like, he reaches into his bag and he puts on this like kind of like a Mardi Gras necklace or something with like a big gem on it or something like that. I mean, when he's a kid, but then in the real life, it's like a kind of ancient looking gem artifact thing, So he puts it on, and then like hits the button, and it like lights up. And he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "You could see me." He's like, "I can see you, man. You're a fucking ghost," or whatever. Like you're a ghost. And so he's like, "Well, you got to get out of here, man. I mean, this place." He's like, and then he says he had a vision. He tells him about the dream or something like that. I was thinking like, here's how the story goes. He's like, it's not worth it or whatever. The one kid who died, he's like, "It's not worth it, like you're gonna die too, and then we'll never be able to find the cauldron of immortality," or something like that is what he says. And I was thinking the story would be called the Brothers of the Eternal Flame or something like that. And so he's like, "Well, I mean," he's like, "Look, I'm not giving up without you, man. If I find the cauldron, I could bring you back." So he says, like, "It's worth a shot, I suppose. I mean, but it's a bet on our lives, both." And so he says, "Look, all right, I'll he's like, "I'm not giving up." So he gets into it. He brings his book out. The one guy who has the whip, the Jameson character. He brings his little book out, and inside of his book, he's got these maps all these maps and stuff. He's got pictures and just like pastings of all this stuff, all these newspaper articles and stuff cut out of National Geographic and stuff like that. And so the way the story goes, I hadn't had it developed. I'm gonna try to brainstorm what might happen after this. I know where it's leading to. So it says, all right, brothers forever, and they like do like a air. What do you call that? Like an air shake. They like shake each other, the ghost and the guy, and then it shows the kids, and like the kid and the ghost sheet is holding the guy's hand. They're giving each other a handshake. So then they continue their journey, and so they're going, the ghost and the guy. It can be like the guy goes like, "Hey, stop." He's like, "What is it?" It'll be like, I was thinking maybe I'm just come up with this at the top of my head, just like I did the rest of it before. It'd be like, "Dude, take a look over there," something like that, and then they'll look down the hallway, and it'll be like in the when they're adults, it'll be like a giant spider or something like that, like 6 feet, or whatever, like a super gigantic spider, like perched in down the hallway. And then, it could like cut to the kids up the hallway, the stairs, and it'll be like, it could either be like something pasted together, like a bunch of those tube things, those swimming tubes, with like a laundry basket, like stuck through all the holes of the laundry basket, like a circular laundry basket, and then like a real tarantula, or something like that. Like just in a little terrarium or something, or just on the ground. Like, we're gonna have to sneak around him. So they're like, all right, we gotta cross this, get to the other side, and there'll be like a large, what do you call that? Like a hole where the center of the hallway has broken. You're like, we're gonna have to, hug the wall, etc. And they get to the other side of the tunnel. And, they're just like crawling on a thin ledge or something. It gets thinner and thinner. It'll show the kids. Briefly, I was thinking they'd be like slowly standing on like Lego blocks, like big Lego blocks that are lined up on the other side of the hallway, and then it'll come back, to them as adults. And then like the spider will attack at the last minute, but they'll jump into a, it'll show them like cutting between them jumping to like a bathroom or something like that, or
you know what I mean. Simultaneously, um, as adults, they just, turn a corner at the very edge and they go into another room. So they're both like, whoa, nice. And inside of there, it'll be like a bunch of kind of lit um, candles and stuff, or like something like that, like this glowing light. Cut back to the kids. And one of the kid, that's alive, he'd be like holding a vase. He'd be like, either say it by name or, say something like that, like say the vase of the emperor of, something like that, or maybe some name or whatever. It'll be like, okay, let me say, it'll be something like the vase, and it'll show him like holding, as a kid, just like a vase, in the bathroom with one of those like kind of night light kind of things going on. And it'll be like walking up to the kid holding that thing or whatever, close up or whatever. It'll be like the vase of the emperor of the empire of, I don't have a name for that. I'm trying to come up with some cool name. Zarlutin. That's the it'll be like this. Check it out. It'll be the vase of the emperor of. I guess I'll say it like that. I don't know. The vase of the emperor of the empire of Zarlutin. He'll say something like that. And I was thinking it would be like he could have the adult voice, in the cavern with the echo and all that. Or like at the same time, maybe. Be better, yeah. With the kid's voice and the guy's voice saying it at the same time. And it'll say like, said to unlock the or be the fuel for to contain the fuel of, or something like that, for the magic that allows the cauldron of immortality or something like that. And you're like, that must mean that the cauldron is near, something like that. And it'll be like, could be something like this, like, check it out. You're like, it's probably behind one of these walls. And be like, look at these symbols. The guy who's a ghost. Be like, if we can decode these symbols, there'll be all these like symbols all over the stone walls. And kind of panels. And then when he says that, it'll cut to him as a kid in the bathroom. And it'll be like him just looking at the cabinets and stuff, But it'll have like little, like, artistic paintings on it, or just like, something that his parents might have done or something like that. Be like inside of these, behind one of these panels or behind one of these doors or whatever. you know, is a pathway to the cauldron or something like that. There's a doorway to the cauldron or something like that. And maybe it'll be like, they'll walk around as adults in the room. They'll look at all the different symbols and stuff all over the doors. And then one of the guys will be like, "Hey, look in your book at that one picture of whatever." He'll say something like, "Pull up the article from, you know, the Times, September 21st." Or something like that, some sort of specific information, and he'll thumb through his book and he'll look at it. And be like, "Look right there," and it'll show the picture, whatever, and it'll have like a similar looking picture or something like that, and it'll be like, "Look right here on the door on this one panel," and I'll cut to them as kids, and they'll be looking at the like a pencil or something like that, and he'll be like drawing on the door of the closet of the bathroom. And he'll go back and be like, "So what does this mean?" The Jameson guy or whatever, will be like, the other guy will be like, "We gotta open this door, man." So then they'll get some tools and stuff, and they'll start like prying at it. Maybe they bring out like a whistle or something like that, like a recorder. It could be like a combination of like they start prying at it and they're like, "Oh, it's too heavy." And then they maybe see like a picture of some like tribesmen or something playing the recorder or something like that. And then the one ghost guy is like, "Hey, I got an idea. Get your recorder out, or get your flute out, or whatever." So he starts playing the flute. He says like, play some melodies or something. He's like, "Hey, can you read this music line or something like that?" That kind of thing. Something like that, I know that they do that in a popular movie at one point. But something like that. He's like, "What about this? Can you translate these symbols to music notes?" And he's like, "I'll try." And then he turns his pages to like, there's like a couple pages that he took from a music lesson or something from his elementary school, And he says, "If this is what this means," and it goes like this, and he starts playing a melody, something, whatever. Echoes fill the chamber of the cave. Suddenly there's a shake, and the door or the thing opens up. Meanwhile, as kids, or whatever, the closet door opens up, and there's like a box in there. It's like a cardboard box of something, Maybe like an air conditioner or something. You know what I mean? And then it cuts, to they're dragging the cauldron out of the room into the center of the room or something like that, or maybe like they've taken it somewhere into a bigger chamber, or maybe just into the center of that chamber or something like that. And or maybe, okay, check it out. They'll take the cauldron, and um, they'll take it like to the living room. But in the adult story, they're just like taking it down various caverns and stuff. And well, I mean, I guess it would have to be just the one guy because the other one is dead, so he can't touch stuff. I guess, typical rules. So he or maybe he gets it, like to. Well, anyway, they put it somewhere, and um, they have that vase thing, and there's like nothing in it, or maybe there's like some of those little bead marble type, those flat marble things, or something like that. And okay, this was the concept that I had earlier, and I'm trying to put the how I had envisioned it earlier into this right here, and that is this: that the guy will be like, they'll be looking at the cauldron, um, which is a cardboard box, um, and while they're doing that, they'll be talking about the this is it, they'll say this is it, this is it, this is what we've been, hunting our whole lives or whatever. We have it. And it could go something like this. It's like, well, there's only one way to find out if it works. And then the guy, the guy who's a ghost, he disappears, is what I was thinking, something like that. Or he just gets into the cauldron. And that'll work. He gets into the cauldron, and then they close the lid of it, or he closes the lid. And it'll have like holes, I was thinking, on the side of the box. For his arms. And okay, so check it out. What to do with that vase is what I'm wondering. I'm like, does he pour it into there? Maybe he pours it in there with the kid. So he pours some beads in there. The kid goes into the box. They close the lid. Maybe he does like a prayer, he reads some sort of lyrics out of his notebook or something like that. And then, or maybe the instructions or something like that, and he says something like, focus on, like memories, things that we had when we were both still alive and stuff like that. And he says, he says, something like he's supposed to put his arms into the box, and when he has his arms in there, and when he feels his brother's hands hold his hands, then he's supposed to hold on to his hand and or like his hand or whatever. And when he's holding onto his hand, then he can open the lid and then he'll be alive. Is the concept, something like that. So, in the meanwhile, the cave is rumbling, etc. And then it was just gonna be something so easy, like, you know, a bunch of emotions, like he's like, "Come on, man, come on, you know, I love you, man. You're my brother. Like, he, I'm not leaving here without you," and all this stuff. And then he feels his hand and he holds it, and then he opens the box and his brother's there, but he doesn't have the sheet on him. He's like, "You're alive," or whatever, and then it'll be like, ding dong. And then, like, his parents will be home or whatever. And then they'll be like, "We're home, God bless you." Say we were only going to be a few hours. And so they go over to meet the parents. And the mom will be like, it'll show the living room and all this stuff all over the house, you know what I mean? And she'll be like, or her and her, whatever. I was just thinking it would be like just the mom, maybe. And, but who knows? And I was thinking what it would be is they have stuff all over the living room, all these different things, the pillow cushions, and there's like ropes and, stuff, and various all kinds of just like toy stuff all over the place, Some kids. I'm gonna move over there. I guess they have to park or something. And interesting that I see some kids while talking about this. And so what I was thinking was the mom will be like dressed up in like 80s dance clothes, with like a bunch of makeup on and her hair all like hairsprayed, and she'll and they'll look at her like kind of all slow, like, but they won't really react too much. And the concept was this. There's a conclusion kicker. And the kids will go up, like the guy, Jameson or whatever, and the boy, whatever I called him. And I was thinking it would be like this. It's a conversation where the kid's like, "Hey, Mom, so did you have fun?" And then the mom's like, and it shows the mom for a minute, like, her perception of what she did that night. And she was like a rock star for just a moment. It shows her like singing, like on a stage, dancing. And, she's like a pop idol. And then it like cuts to her and she's like singing some karaoke at like a pretty cool looking bar or something, And she's like dancing around, and it could be like, some guys she's talking to or something like that. And while it'll show the two of them standing next to each other, her in like at a club or something like that, you know what I mean? Kind of like a theater looking venue or something, with her dressed up all in that outfit, and then him as an adult standing next to her, and he's standing in that cave, and he's like, "Well, I'm glad you had a good time, Mom," and stuff like that. And she'll be like, she'll be like, "Well, it looks like you had a good time too, or like y'all had a good time," or something like that. Or maybe the kid will be dead. And it could be like, well, maybe you had a good time too, or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, had a good time. And she's like, well, you know, clean it up, you know. She'll be like, well, were you playing, Space Adventures or something like that? And then he'll be like, no, I was exploring a cave. And then he'll like tell her, and then he'll be a kid again. And he'll be like, it's the cave of, what was it called? Something like, cave of, the cave of the immortal cauldron or something like that. And she'll be like, oh, okay, well, tell me about it. And then it'll like look over. And then, I mean, this is a dark ending, but it could be so dark. On the mantle of the fireplace or something like that, it'll like have his brother, like, and it'll have like him like as like a 7-year-old, them together, and then like a picture of the kid who had died, and it'll say like, born like 1978, died 1986 or something like that. All right, so there you go. That's my story.